What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my brother.
If you don't know, now you know. That's right. The most charismatic man, the Prince of Fresh Air, Percy. Thank you for having me again, bro. Always.
Yes, sir. So we've got a situation that, I got to chime in on because this is almost a threefold quick take, okay? Because we just recently did a quick take about Tyrese saying that he wished to be a Latino man. And then we also did a quick take about Diddy and Cassie and basically the lawsuit that she filed against him for like 20 or $30 million. And a news article was brought to my attention yesterday. So I want to talk about it. But before I get into that, I want to preface it with an article from the Associated Press, which says authorities searched Diddy's properties as part of a sex trafficking probe. And then the article goes on to say, in the first 9 months of 2023, Sean Diddy Combs triumphantly performed at the MTV VMAs, released an R&B album that received a Grammy nomination and was a suitor to buy the BET network. But several lawsuits filed late last year raised allegations of sexual assault and rape against Combs, one of hip-hop's most recognizable names as a performer and producer. It says the music mogul's homes in Los Angeles and Miami were searched Monday by federal agents with Homeland Security investigators and other law enforcement. Officials said the searches were connected to an investigation by federal authorities in New York. The officials spoke to the Associated Press on conditions of anonymity because they were not authorized to publicly discuss details of the investigation. Combs' whereabouts are unknown, but his attorney said Tuesday that the mogul is innocent. Yeah, right, and will continue to fight. Sure, to clear his name. So, all right. So anyway, so basically, Diddy's name is part of an elaborate sex trafficking investigation. And these people, I mean, all you got to do is go on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. There's plenty of evidence to substantiate, his involvement in said sex trafficking investigation. Now, in lieu of all this stuff that's been going on, Tyrese Gibson took to his Instagram and he wanted to chime in. So the Shade Room, they posted it, and it says Tyrese shares his thoughts on Diddy's current situation and says he won't make a mockery of what's going on while sending his support. And they said that Tyrese has weighed in on everything that has been recently going on with Diddy. He makes it clear that he does not condone nor support any of the current allegations. However, he says he is not going to turn a blind eye to Diddy's accomplishments and make a mockery of his current situation. Now, I want to read his Instagram post verbatim, and then I'm going to get your thoughts. So Tyrese says, what I can't do and what I won't do is downplay the laughter, the fun, the energy, the inspiration, the award shows, the studio sessions, the most legendary parties, wow, and events I've ever attended in my life. And I also can't act as if my high school backyard parties throughout South Central LA wasn't the craziest parties ever because of the Bad Boy or because of Bad Boy and a slew of hit records. I don't condone nor do I support abuse, bullying, sexual assault, or anything that is currently being alleged. But what I can't do is turn the blinds on how much this man means to me and all of us and what he has done for the community of music and culture. He says, don't worry, I'm the only one crazy enough to jump out there and say what most of you want to say, but you don't have the balls to do so because it's very normal for people to be going through a rough patch and we all sit back and make a mockery of it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm praying for Diddy, his kids, his family, his mother, and all of the alleged victims that's in the middle of trying to simply have their voices be heard. I love this brother. He's been nothing but kind and generous towards me, and that's the way I feel. Praying and praying for more of a better outcome of all of this that is happening. God bless you, Diddy. If you ever need to call me and just need a listening, here, I'm right here, bro. So, what are your thoughts on what Tyrese said specifically?
Oof. This whole P. Diddy saga thing has been something that's taken the internet by storm, and a lot of people chiming in. And I will say one thing real quick before I address the Tyrese thing. Someone made a point. There's 50 Cent is the only rapper or famous celebrity who's made light of P. Diddy's situation. And they were saying that why is he the only one? Like nobody else is speaking out outside of Tyrese and P. Diddy 50 Cent. But it seemed like 50 Cent was the only one speaking out and to disgrace P. Diddy. Um, Here's the thing, and I always got to preface this. We talked about Jonathan Majors, we've talked about Tyrese and his black comments. In this situation, look, I'm not saying P. Diddy is the saint of all saints, but we don't know what's happening. And a lot of people are looking at it like, oh, there was a FBI raid and military, raid and all this stuff. Look, I don't think that's the full picture. That can happen to anybody, especially when it comes to black, celebrities. That can happen at any point. Someone tipped them off or whatever the case may be. Um, Now, if I was Tyrese, I probably wouldn't voice my support. You know, considering the fact that P Diddy has been in recently in the headlines for not so great things. But at the same time, we don't also know what P. Diddy has done for him in his career because people need to realize Tyrese was a musician before he was an actor. So I don't know how much P. Diddy has helped put him on the map. We don't know what Tyrese has been through, as we, wink, wink, the Nickelodeon Quiet on Set thing. We don't know what's been going on behind the scenes. But one thing I will say, and the only reason why I don't 100% hate Tyrese for this is because people also got to realize P. Diddy has children who isn't a part of this. I see people making memes of his son, who's performing on stage, and people like, oh, look at his son trying to distract, the FBI
I
from.
posted that. I posted that.
No. But I see like people, making content on Instagram and YouTube and X, formerly Twitter, making fun of his family. His family didn't do anything wrong. I mean, unless
As far as we know.
As far as we know. But his daughters, they don't have the skin in the game that he has, And I think we as a society, we live in a very lynch mob mentality, especially on social media. At this moment we see someone doing wrong, we gotta attack everybody. It's like, nah, that's like if I commit a crime, people like, yo, Dimitri, yo, you a criminal too, man. You associate with this guy. That's not exactly true. And I think a lot of people attacking his children. Um, unless it comes out that they was, helping him with his escapades. Um, I think P. Diddy has done some wrong, and I think it's time for him to face, consequences. But we don't know the full scope of what this raid was about, and I think um we got to do our due diligence before we hang somebody out to dry, But what is your thoughts though?
Well, all right. For one, like I've always said about Tyrese, man, okay, a good 5 to 10% of who I am today is thanks to Tyrese Gibson. Okay. I will never shy away from giving this man his flowers. So in the off chance that in the future he knows who I am and was like, yo, you were talking shit on YouTube. I mean, yeah, I talk shit, but I also gave you your flowers at the same time. And I would say more than half of my attitude towards mental health and counseling and going to therapy and doing the work to become a better person, it comes from him. It started from him. So I can never totally disparage Tyrese and, his influence on me as a person. But at what point do we separate the artist from their crimes? All right. We're not talking about a guy who doesn't have any track record, doesn't have any blatant evidence that is proving that he is what people are saying he is. Because all you have to do is go on TikTok. All you got to do is go on Instagram and see, what he's been up to all of these years. The police don't go raiding people's homes off of conjecture. They have to have viable reason to do such things. Usually, they're not going to name you in a RICO case if, again, they didn't have just cause to do so. All right. Now, again, I was somebody that I always grew up respecting Diddy. Now, I couldn't necessarily call myself a fan, but my policy has always been, if somebody has made a success out of themselves doing what they love to do on their own outside of a 9 to 5, I will always respect it. Even if I might not like them, I will say I respect it. And again, I came up watching, Diddy on Making the Band. All right, Making the Band 4, season 1 through 4. And, he was somebody that, again, I always respected the way that he carried himself as it relates to business. Okay. And a lot of, I don't say a lot, but, some of the things that he said, I resonated with. And, I took notes. I took mental notes. Okay. But I have to rescind that respect once I hear you're raping people, you're physically abusing women. Okay. You are forcing guys to engage in sexual acts that are contrary to their sexual preferences. And if they don't, then they run the risk of retaliation by you. I cannot respect somebody that has been accused of those things, and I'm seeing visual evidence proving that he does those things. We're not talking about Jonathan Majors where we legit don't know, what happened between him and Grace Jabari in that car. And then again, from the whole, court case and stuff, the receipts are there. So there is no viable proof that he was beating, her fucking, brains in and shit like that. And then he actually defended himself. Whereas Diddy, he cut the check for, I don't even know how much it was, like $30 million the next day. We did that quick take on Thursday. By Monday, we already heard that he just quickly settled out of court. Why? Because she had the receipts. He was not willing to go through that because everything that she was saying was true. And for y'all listening, you can go back and listen to that where I go into the court details of what she was describing that he put her through. You see what I'm saying? And then mind you, there's so many different men and women who say that they've been victimized by this man. So this is what I'm saying. At some point, you have to see past, the glitz and glam and the glory of whoever this person is. And then you got to get into the grind. All right? Because this is not like, let's say, for instance, Michael Jackson. People say that Michael Jackson was this, Michael Jackson was that. But in the court of law, he was found innocent. They went to his house and flipped it upside down. They found nothing. It's not like you can go on YouTube, you can go on TikTok and see visual proof of Michael Jackson doing anything. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing. Right. There is no paper trail. With Diddy, there is a paper trail. Not just, for domestic violence and all of that, because that was just the tip of the iceberg. In November, December, whenever that happened, this is sex trafficking. And then you got his neighbor saying, oh, tell Diddy to stop bringing, minors and little girls to his house in buses. You see videos of Diddy, pretty much sexually intimidating Justin Bieber when he was 15 years old. Oh, Usher was sleeping at my house when he was 14 years old. Why? You listen to his music and then you're seeing little cryptic, little lyrics and stuff like that nobody was listening to back in the day because we were just caught up in the groove. But now when you look at it, it checks out. So we cannot say that this is conjecture when the only thing that can get this man out of what's happening right now is money, honestly. And then clearly they're bypassing that because we know Diddy is a fucking, he has hundreds of millions of dollars. So he could afford, that. That's why, he wasn't the one that was caught up in the raid, because according to what I just read, apparently he was in communication with law enforcement. So he knew they was coming. So he had enough money to get a moment's notice and to get out of the way. But his sons and shit like that, were in cuffs. Now, again, granted, you are right in a sense that because Diddy is most likely guilty of all of these things that we were saying, that doesn't automatically, incriminate his sons. But at the same time, you got to see a lot of shit if that's your pops. That's a fact. That is a fact. When you live in a household, you are going to see things go on. And it doesn't have to be obviously sex trafficking or anything. It could be arguments. It could be, whatever. But you are going to see people up close and personal, especially when they're your parents and you live there. Because, again, they live there. So, you know, I can't necessarily absolve them either because you see a lot of shit. Like that video, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a video of him and a white girl, and then he's talking about how, oh yeah, you know, I adopted her, and you know, I'm her legal guardian and all that. And then you got the little girl that looking all nervous and shit like that. Yeah, she giggling, but come on, man. Like the eyes can tell, you know, say differently. And then you got his other son in the back giggling, and then you got his daughters giggling. I'm like, yo, like you don't think they've seen some shit? And then they were told, yo, like you can't talk about that shit. That shit is, you know, G14 classified. You know, for people who've ever seen Rush Hour. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I know people want to keep it PC, but at the same time, if somebody is, let's say, a cannibal and they're eating people, I don't give a shit if they saved my life before. Motherfucker, you're eating people. Okay? Like, I've always said, all right, like for instance, I love Will Smith. You know, I'm a Will Smith fanboy. I'm an unapologetic Will Smith fanboy. Okay? And I've said so many times, I've gone on record to say so many times that it will take a lot. I'm talking about Mount Fuji amount of allegations and shit to change my opinion of Will Smith. But if I heard that Will Smith, you know, was eating babies or some shit, I'd be like, yo, I'm a big fucking Will Smith fan, but yo, that man is wrong. And I can't support that. I know that this man was my hero my whole entire life, but I cannot stand behind him on that. I can't, because then what does that say about what I would do behind closed doors? What does that say about me? That says everything about my own morals if I stand behind somebody that was eating babies or some shit. Now, equate that to Diddy. Tyrese should not stand by this man. He should say, yo, I rock with Diddy and all of that, but in fact, just don't say anything. Don't say anything. Stevie J, same shit. He want to come out and then he want to say, oh, whatever it is that he want to support Diddy too. It's like, but what you gonna say when it's actually set in stone that he was sex trafficking women, children, sexually harassing and probably assaulting men and shit like that? What you gonna say? What you gonna say? What you gonna say? Tyrese, Stevie J, other people that are, for lack of a better word, dick riding Diddy, pedophile Diddy, P-file, whatever the fuck it is that I seen on there, P-D-file, yeah. Come on, man. Like, what you gonna say? What you gonna say? You're gonna be like, oh damn, well, no, you shouldn't have stood by that man in the first place. That's my thing. That's my thing. Because in some cases, when you settle out of court, that doesn't necessarily mean it's an admittance of guilt. But in Diddy's case, that's a fucking admittance of guilt, in my opinion. That's an admittance of guilt. And I'm pretty sure if Cassie wasn't, let's say, like vulnerable, or if she was vulnerable, there probably would have been some retaliation, you know, for what she's been doing. It's because wherever she's at, she's out of his grasp, where he can't do nothing. But clearly, the fact that it's been that long and she waited that long to say something, yeah, that's probably because, you know, she was a little bit worried. And like I said before about, you know, the actor from Power that got into like a misunderstanding, which almost became an altercation with Diddy, that showed me his character right there. And this man is in his mid-50s acting out and's got a temper. So if he's doing that in the middle of the street, in front of cameras, what do you think he's doing behind closed doors where he has all the power? Come on, man. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So this is just a tip of the iceberg, and I support it. Why? Because I do not. Well, and again, I've seen. Well, let me not even put them in there. But I don't want to have to deal with gatekeepers who will make men do gay shit for money or fame. And apparently, based off of things that I've seen, not what I've just heard, but things that I've seen, you know, with my own fucking two eyes, I'm led to believe that he is one of those gatekeepers, and I cannot support that. But go on.
You're right. No, you're right. And this is the thing, you know, this industry, and I recently touched on this on a podcast I recently did. You know, the entertainment industry has a dark history of a lot of people with power taking advantage of young women, men, children, grown women and men. And I think we're seeing a shift. I think we're seeing a change of guard, and we're seeing the older statesmen, you know, who have the money and the power, the aging out, and we have new blood who wants to see something different happen, you know, something more positive. And this is the thing. I think a lot of people, Diddy is the tip of the iceberg. If you could catch P. Diddy, you could catch anybody in this industry. And I think a lot of people don't want to speak out on it is because, and this same thing I said with R. Kelly, there's a lot of people guilty. You know, a lot of people who's been
It's a fact.
around, who've seen what he's been doing, who's been partaking in what he's doing, and they don't want to say anything because once you do that, then now you're a target of the investigation. People will start asking you questions. And I think this is something, unfortunately, that has been going on in the industry for decades. And it's sad that the first it's different, but it's also the same. Like the Nickelodeon documentary, Quiet on Set, we're seeing all of these child stars and people who grew up on some of our favorite TV shows as kids, come out talking about the abuse they had to withstand. And I think that P Diddy's not the only one. And the only reason why I said I don't granted, I understand your point of he shouldn't be support him, but I also think too sometimes when you're a minority in such a prestigious industry, because let's keep it real, most people want to be in the entertainment industry, be famous and be rich. When you're a black man in a industry that's very coveted, and you got someone's help, you're probably going to be a little less open to criticize them. And that's why I said, look, I don't 100% fault him because we don't know what P. Diddy has done for his career. Again, I don't know if P. Diddy made him do anything when he was younger, to get those things. I don't know. But I think that sometimes I agree with you. I do think if someone's done wrong, you should, cut ties. He did that, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Just don't support. Just don't support him. Or don't say anything. Just don't say anything. That's what I'm saying. But no, go on. I mean to interrupt, bro.
No, you're right. But the only reason why I said I don't 100%, the only reason why I said I agree with him is like, yeah, his kids might have seen something. But that's not their job. And like, one thing you mentioned was the kid who yelled out the window. I know his mom did a whole thing after and said he was just, making it up. I don't know if that's true or not. But even if that was true, who called the police on this man?
Well, that's what I said. That's almost what I said, and I forgot to mention that. The fact that if you saw that and you didn't like it, then that makes you an accomplice. If you saw that this shit going on and your ass didn't call the cops, if you saw little 12-year-old girls marching into Diddy's mansion. So right. that was my one criticism of that I forgot to mention.
Right. And that's why I mentioned, like, a lot of people, we live in a society where, something, you get in the headlines for something negative, everybody jumps on you. And P. Diddy, like I said, he's done some questionable things. And I think sometimes we also gotta, one of the things I was talking to Natalie about was the Nickelodeon Quiet on Set documentary. And Drake Bell, he's done, he had his brushings with the law, texting underage people, but it came out that he was a victim of that. And I don't know if P. Diddy was a victim. We'll find out. But I think sometimes in this industry, it's a cycle, and I think now we're at that point. People are trying to break the cycle because I feel like P. Diddy might have had to do some things he wasn't proud of, and now he's using that trauma that he experienced. I'm not sure. I could be 100% wrong.
Right.
But sometimes we do see in this industry, people who are victims of this type of things turn out to be abusers as well. And I think this is a cycle that's been going on for decades. And, there's a lot of people who need to be held accountable. And this is why, like, someone like P. Diddy is a big target, is because now if you could get P. Diddy, like I said, nobody's off limits. There's a lot of famous rappers, but nobody's as rich and famous as P. Diddy outside of maybe like 2-3 people. So, it's a tough conversation to have, and I think people shouldn't make jokes about it. And
what's happening with Diddy?
Like people were, making like funny jokes. Or,
here's the thing: when we talk about people making jokes about it, but what are they essentially attacking? They're attacking somebody who is allegedly and most likely a sexual abuser and a sex trafficker. So I'm not gonna shield somebody or say it's wrong to attack somebody like that, because you're right. Look at Quiet on Set, the Nickelodeon documentary. Like, I wouldn't fault somebody for cracking all Dan Schneider and Brian Peck, the guy who was actually sexually abusing Drake Bell for I don't even know how long. So yeah, those people should be vulnerable to, what I'm saying, like freaking public stonings via the internet. That is fine. Because again, if these things actually are true, then I have no qualms, for talking shit about his kids too, because that means you saw something. That means you saw something. Like I said, you can't be that close and not see anything. Oh, I had no idea. Like, get the fuck out of here. That nigga's your pops. That's your dad, okay? And you lit it. So, you know what I'm saying?
But
And here's also what I wanted to say too. And we're living in an information era where a lot of these things are not really a secret. They're just, a sentence and a enter button away on Google. It's just a Google search away. Where you got Ryan Garcia coming out and saying, yo, this is what I've seen. This is what I've heard. This is what it's really like behind closed doors. And again, it's substantiated by a documentary like Nickelodeon, Quiet on Set and shit. It's substantiated by the things that you see on TikTok. It's substantiated by all of these interviews of people who are in the industry, maybe still in the industry, and are saying these are the things that have been going on behind closed doors. Isn't that, I don't know the name of this actor, but people listening probably know who I'm talking about, where he was saying that just a grown-ass man, that he was sexually abused by a very powerful person in the industry, and he didn't want to say who it was.
Terry Crews?
No, not even Terry Crews, but you see, that's another one. So we've been hearing about these things for a while. And then now the house lights are coming on, and now we're starting to see who's who. Now, I always say to people, it's layers to life. We can't just look at it like, oh, what you see is what it is. No, there's always stuff that's beneath the surface that you got to peel away. And the more that you peel it away, it gets stronger like an onion. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy shit that's happening that people don't realize. And because it sounds crazy, it makes people feel uncomfortable. So the best thing that they can do is say, oh yeah, nah, that's not true. That can't be possible. Come on now. The truth is uncomfortable. And the truth is a guy that a lot of young black men, in general, just people in general have respected, turns out to be a sex trafficker.
Yeah.
Point blank, period. We live in a world where Bohemian Grove is a real thing. Where like successful men from maybe around the country, possibly around the world, they gather together to engage in various acts. And I saw, maybe y'all can look it up, but there's a video out there now where a guy snuck into the area, and then he went to the different, little like lodges and shit where these people stay, and then there are pretty much objects and things that are there that lead people to believe that, yo, they do heinous shit up in there. So this is what I'm saying. Like, we have to stop, playing it safe when it comes to these things. Because like I said to you before in the other one, I want to be on the right side, when it comes to a lot of this shit. Because I'm an actor, okay? So if my words, if what I know can lead to the regime changing, even if my contribution to it is a very small percentage, even if it's a half percentage or a quarter of a percentage, who cares? Because I don't want to have to go to Diddy's house, you know what I'm saying? Where you see Diddy, I said it before, where you got Diddy, Cassidy, Fabulous, and what's that guy's name from the Drink Champs thing? Nori and all of them. And then he's like, oh, so why you don't want to party with me no more? I don't want Diddy asking me that shit. I don't want him asking me that shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, yo, nah. So if we can get rid of these people, get rid of these people. Now, I am going to throw this in the pot before you go ahead, but Candace Owens did say, she was like, the feds are currently raiding Diddy's house. They already knew what he was up to, but he's going to be the fall guy so that they can protect the people at the top of the ring. They are raiding his home to hide evidence, not to find it. Hey, you got to understand, it's layers to life. People talk about Epstein Island and all sorts of types of shit. You don't think these things are real? And like I said earlier, if you have enough money, you could duck and dodge and evade the legal system. It's a fact. All you gotta do is just cut the check. You might not be 100% clean, but they could kind of keep you out of harm's way. Because why is Diddy now in a foreign country? Because he's got enough money to do that. He's got enough money to do that. So, that's all I'm saying.
No, you're right. The only reason why I said people shouldn't laugh and make jokes about it, I mean, it's one thing to make jokes of, oh, you about to go to jail and all that stuff. That's different. But like the situation is horrible, and
We're
there's a
not,
lot of fake.
but the thing is, we're not clowning the fact that kids were sex trafficked. We're
Oh, the
clowning that the aiding and abetting ass niggas, accomplice ass niggas, the aiding and abetting accomplice ass niggas, the motherfuckers that have been seeing shit go on for so fucking long. Not only did they not say anything, but now they're using their voice to support Diddy and stand by him unapologetically at that. Because
but
what I took away from Tyrese is like, yeah, I know, he's probably guilty of bullying and sexual harassment and all types of wild shit, but because I benefited financially and socially from this man, or economically, socially and economically, I benefited from this man, I'm still going to support him despite him possibly being guilty of heinous acts against women, men, and children. And again,
I'll say,
if you see this man on camera sexually intimidating somebody, like, and then now the police are raiding his house, don't you think that they're getting warmer and warmer?
yeah, I'll say this, and this is a deep rooted issue in the industry, is because R. Kelly was easier to get because he wasn't an executive. He didn't have the type of money P Diddy has. He didn't have the influence that P Diddy has, and I think a lot of people also forget. Yeah, Tyrese is rich and he's famous, and
Mm-hmm.
so is many other rappers and actors. But you also got to realize they still are, they still people who need to work. You got a mortgage to pay, you got a car notes to worry about, you got a family to raise. And the moment you go out and you start criticizing people, even if it's the right thing to do, there's people behind the scenes that cut the check, the ones that oversee projects that you might be in the running for or you're doing. They don't like the tone that you're taking. They pull the plug. Now, what you going to do? You want to flip McDonald's burgers? So I think a lot of
Wait,
times in this industry,
I'm so sorry. Just say that again. My bad. My bad. My bad.
no, no, I was saying that in this industry, a lot of people forget, from the outside looking in, that a lot of these, Tyrese, talking highly about him, and a lot of people whose silence is pretty much loud because they haven't said anything. People forget that, yeah, they might be rich and famous, but they still in this industry, and there's still people in this industry that will, take you out if you decide you want to make jokes and you want to, oh yeah, he did this and did that. Tyrese is rich and famous, but
Mm-hmm.
if he says something that an executive of a movie company or an album that he wants to do, and they don't like it, they pull the plug.
Well,
He
but
has a
that's why I said earlier, you don't have to say anything. Like, you don't have to say anything. Like, if that's because this is something that I don't even remember who said it, but this is a quote that I always say is like, not everything has to be on Front Street. Like, if that's how you feel, then you can feel that way, but you don't have to go on a public forum and say that because, again, like, there's shit that comes with putting your shit out there. That's like me. Like, I, make a habit of putting my personal opinions out on the internet. I already know that what comes with that might be backlash or people that don't agree with what I'm saying. Now, needless to say, if I'm sticking my neck out there for a potential sex trafficker, a damn near proven sexual abuser. So that's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't have to say anything, dog. Like, and he would have been just fine because a lot of these celebrities anyway, all they do is keep quiet. Unless like they're either agreeing with popular opinion or if whatever it is that they're saying benefits them. And I understand, like I said, going against the grain and sticking by your boy. But there's certain things that I just can't stick by. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, it's a tough situation.
And
I
then
think
also, like I said, if these people are going to pull the plug on you in terms of what opportunities they make available your way because you said you don't support a sex trafficker, a sexual abuser, then why would you want to work with these people anyway? Because
but you know what that,
like I always say, that's what selling out is. If I know deep down inside I don't condone certain shit and I choose to surround myself and rock with people that do those things that I know deep down inside I don't rock with, that's how I'm selling out. That's selling out, in my opinion. And me, I refuse to do that. I
no,
refuse.
you're right, but I think also too when you're so deep into this industry, it's hard to do that. And I think the reason why I think I was saying that, the silence is definite. Like I said, it's only two people talking, Tyrese and 50 Cent, and
And Stevie J.
they're doing, yeah. I mean, but he's not really a huge name like 50 or
Right.
Tyrese. But I think that in this industry, that's the issue. It's the silence. Why are people silent? Why aren't people criticizing it? But I will say this too. I could look at it from Tyrese's perspective, meaning like at his height, when he was going through stuff, people was making fun of him, people was clowning him, people was talking down on him. And then I remember we did a quick take on this when he was on the Breakfast Club, and it was clearly obvious that they were still making fun of this man, despite the fact that he was talking about his mental health struggles, that his personal life struggles that he was going through. And I think that's why he chose to spoke out, is because he's seen what happened with him when he was at his lowest.
Yeah,
People
but
make
that's apples and oranges because Tyrese was going through a divorce and a custody battle and a child support battle with his ex-wife. That is not sex trafficking. That's different. Of course, like I supported Tyrese when he was going through stuff like that. I mean, just and what my response was to that, obviously, because I didn't have a YouTube channel at the time. So yeah, of course, people who rock with Tyrese, they would stand by him. That's nowhere near the magnitude of you being accused of, again, sex trafficking, domestic violence, domestic abuse, rape, possibly murder, all of that shit. There's so many videos now, out there proving such, or visual, clues and evidence that substantiate those claims. I can't stand by you at that point. And it's like, again, all celebrities do is keep quiet now. So why would they stick their necks out for him? Because we don't know how it's going to end. There's a good % chance that he could, go to trial, or he might not. Who knows?
This goes back to my original point, though. I think all of this stuff is changing of guard, and I think a lot of people, I'm glad this is happening. It's unfortunate that is, someone, as P Diddy, who a lot of people enjoy. I've certainly enjoyed a lot of his music, but this is a dark side of the industry we don't talk about, and I think now we live in a society where we're trying to change that, and I'm glad this is happening, because now we, like, for me and you, as two people, coming up in the entertainment industry, we don't have to go. Hopefully, we don't have to go through these things that some of our favorite artists, or people we looked up to, potentially had to go through. Little kids don't have to go through. It's unfortunate that we live in a society where people get a little power and they abuse it, and I think also too, the reason. Oh yeah, this one thing I want to mention, like this the silent treatment thing. I understand it, but I don't like it, because I think now we should force these people to speak up, because how are we going to get anything to change if you stay silent? And we need people. If you want something to change, you have to change it. The Tupac said that loud and clear, and I think we still living in that hush hush. I'm not gonna say nothing because my career will be in jeopardy, state. And I think once we move away from that, we'll see a lot more people supporting, victims, and speaking out against all these types of evils that's happening, because it's been a long time coming, and I'm glad it's coming now.
Yeah. So, honestly, in closing, again, like me personally, I've gotten to a point where I can easily separate the entertainer. No, I can't separate the entertainer from their crimes. To me, it's a package deal, and I apologize if I was saying that earlier, because I'm just caught up in the moment. But yeah, there's no in between, man. I religiously watched Making the Band. I've listened to Diddy's records. I'll Be Missing You. I Need a Girl Part 2. You know what I'm saying? I know the little Diddy dance and stuff that he does with the shoulders. I know all of that. And all of that goes out the window with the crimes that he's accused of and what I've seen his character to be behind closed doors. Because again, it doesn't matter when the camera's on and, I gotta put on, a good front for the people so people can think I'm this nice, affable guy, but behind closed doors, I'm this completely different type of person, especially if the rumors are true and then he did have something to do with the death of Tupac, or if he did have something to do with the death of Biggie Smalls. Like, again, I that stuff I'm not so quick to pin on him because, again, there's not enough evidence to substantiate those things, at least not from what I've seen so far. I can't really say that, you know. But somebody like R. Kelly, I can't separate the two. Okay, it's almost disgusting to listen to Bump and Grind and Honey Love and all of that, because now it's just like, well, this is what he was singing while he was doing those things. Therefore, I cannot expose myself to those frequencies, so I will no longer do that anymore. And yeah, hopefully this is just the start. Hopefully he's just not the scapegoat for whatever truly is going on behind closed doors, and hopefully this is really the start of a more genuine entertainment industry, you know, where when you're going to these parties, you're not coerced or forced into engaging in acts that are not in line with who you are, because these things are going on, you know. And the conversations that I've always had, I've always said two things. In order to get into the upper echelon, whatever that is in entertainment, in order to get in, you got to get down. And it shouldn't be like that anymore. If you're getting in, that should be based off of your talents, your skills, your personality, your look, and, you know, your overall abilities and what you bring to the table as an artist. It should not be based off of, you know, sexual shit, casting couch, you know, intimidation, retaliation. Shouldn't be based on any of those things. And also, the second one is for the people that, like, let's say if it doesn't change, you know, and that is also a thing, because you won't really know what it's really like until you're rubbing those shoulders and you're in those conversations. But for you and I, and for people who are listening that are aspiring, you know, actors, you know, we're actors, we're not aspiring, we really do this shit. But for the people that are actors, rappers, whatever, and this is what you want to get into, and you're starting to see that these are the things that are going on behind closed doors, don't let that shit discourage you, because what means a lot is you just doing what you love to do. It shouldn't mean that you have to be this A-list celebrity and success is synonymous with fame and being worth billions of dollars. It's not even that. You know, you should be able to find your way outside of that system if push comes to shove and you're presented, if you're propositioned, because that's pretty much how it is. If you're propositioned, you should be able to reject that and then be able to find your way outside, which I'm pretty sure not everybody, not every single actor, musician, you know, rapper, you know, whatever, had to do something gay in order to get to where they are, and to at least, you know, reach some, you know, relative level of success. You know what I'm saying? And that's just my main thing. That's why I don't allow those things to discourage me, because I truly believe that that's what I'm here to do. I'm here on this earth to follow my passions. I'm here on this earth to speak to people. You know, speaking and communication is one of my gifts. I know that for a fact. So I shouldn't, that's not for somebody else to take away. How I give my gifts and talents to people or showcase them is not up to the success or not up to the decisions of somebody else. I'm going to quote the great Terry Lewis, that no one man or woman holds the keys to my success. That's a fact. I'm going to get it regardless. So we can do it together the right way, or I'm going to do it the right way by myself. But I'm not going to compromise myself in order to, you know, be this rich, famous entertainer, whatever, because then I won't be able to sleep at night. I won't be able to look at myself in the mirror because of the things that I compromise in order to reach that level of success. And that's one thing I'll say. That's my parting words, is that you can't put a price tag on going to sleep at night soundly, to sleep soundly at night. You can't put a price tag on brushing your teeth, rinsing your face, and then looking up at yourself and being happy with what you see. There's a lot of people out there that are not happy with what they see because they've fallen victim to guys like Diddy. They've fallen victim to guys like R. Kelly. They've fallen victim to guys like Harvey Weinstein and all the other motherfuckers that I'm pretty sure we don't know about because they're still shrouded in the darkness. You know, you don't have to do shit. You know what I'm saying? And then just because somebody helped you, that doesn't mean you have to stand by the fucked up shit that they did or that they're still doing. Okay? Because there's a lot of motherfuckers that are like, oh, you know, Ike Turner was a great. No, he fucking wasn't. No, he wasn't. I don't give a shit. No, he wasn't. Just because he gave Ike Tina her start, don't mean she got to thank this man. Doesn't mean that she really owes him any fucking thanks, because look at what he was doing to her behind closed doors. I don't give a damn if people think that the movie was, you know, freaking dramatized or whatever. Nigga, that shit still happened anyway. You know what I'm saying? That shit was just a dramatization of what actually happened. And I don't support that shit. I don't give a fuck if you're the GOAT of whatever. If I find out you're doing, you know, something heinous, I'm talking about, I'm not rocking with that shit, and I will then revoke my support. And that should be the overall consensus as far as how we look at the situation. If you support rape, domestic violence, bullying, hazing, harassment, coercion, sexual assault, and all that, then by all means, rock with Diddy. Have at it. But if you don't say anything. You can respect him, but don't say anything or criticize him, because people need to understand that, yo, like, money can't buy you out of, how should I say, fucked up shit that you do behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no in between. So in this case, pick a side. Pick a side. Are you gonna go right? Or are you gonna go wrong and go left? And with that said, what are your thoughts? Please be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.
No Diddy.
No Diddy. No Diddy. No fucking Diddy. No Diddy. No Diddy.